The current role of AI.
The current role of AI in music. Well, first of all, we need to speak a little bit like, what do we think is AI, right? So if we say what right now, it's mostly machine learning, right? And machine learning in music has been there for quite a long while in various roles, and for the analysis, the understanding of music, for the synthesis of music. It took some major leaps recently, but it plays a central role in all fields, be it distribution, be it production, composition, you can say it became more popular since we call it artificial intelligence, maybe.
It is quite interesting because I talk to people that work in music and AI, and the answer normally tends to be quite similar to yours in that sense, that when the synthesizers started being used in different ways and we implemented computation on it. But do you think that there has been a bit of a leap or a shift ever since more generative models have come forward? Or
well, the shift was not about, I think, generative models. The shift was basically about the availability of deep learning when we became when we had established the ability to train very large networks on very large data sets. That created, I think, a shift in quality of what is being done when it comes for engineering approaches that analyze or synthesize music. That changed a lot the way things are approached. Nowadays, more using very large data sets and using deep learning, and before other technologies.
So it is mostly, you would say, these corpuses that you train the models on.
Yeah.
And could you...
In combination with the architectures that are being used, of course, but it's a lot about the data that is being used that also guides like the problems that are being approached, right?
And the corpuses, are they mostly, because when it comes to vision and AI, the corpuses are quite finely tuned. How are the corpuses used and tuned in pre-training of AI systems?
Well, it's a very general question, but if we look at the data sets that are, for example, being discussed within the field of music information retrieval, which is the engineering field that tries to get information out of music data, also for the scope of synthesis. If you look at the data sets that are being used there, it is there are certain biases in these data. There are certain musics clearly overrepresented because they're easier available, and I would say the amount of consideration of what the data actually contains is a little bit overshadowed by the demand for larger data sets. So it's still more the thinking like just more data is better than really to really see what is within the data sets very often.
So do you think that Western music kind of dominates to some degree?
Well, that's pretty obvious, yeah.
And if I may just ask, what areas of Western music do you think are mostly dominating in these corpuses?
Well, in general, what has been marketed and produced by the music industry, right? So popular musics.
And are there any approaches, at least, and I say this because there is this overshadowing factor of DALL-E and the visualization models, of being able to generate almost anything because of the pre-training that they've received. But music has lagged to a certain degree on that front because of the many disciplines, different disciplines that exist within it. Are there any approaches of having, for example, pop music specific AIs or classical specific music AIs?
Yeah, of course, there are many approaches that really try to build specific models for specific musical styles. Yes, I mean, if you just think about all the publication and attempts that have been around that try to compose music in the style of, name it, Bach or Mozart, and, well, of course, mostly composers of the, again, Western classical corpus.